Okay, this is a corker. How about making a box for a bottle of wine or champagne in this case, okay? Now, it completely turns your box making thinking on its head because we're going to make the base on the box lid and the lid on the box base. However, you'll understand why when I walk you through it all, okay? And actually, when you look, the box is a lot shorter than the bottle, but once we get the bottle in, it's obviously going to adapt to the size of the bottle as long as you've got the lid and the base that work over top of each other. So let me show you how we're going to approach this, okay? Now, I'm looking at this bottle and I know it's around about 3¼ to 3½ inches, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with 2 sheets of A3 cardstock and I'm going to score them at that 3½ inch mark. So we know we want the box to be 3½ inches. So this is our base. We're going to go 3½, okay? And then the next one would be double that. So 3½ plus another 3½, 7. Now it's easiest at this point to fold and burnish your score line. Fold it back on itself, butt it into the corner and do the same again. So 3½ inches and then 7 inches, okay? And then you need the base of the box to be exactly the same, so 3½ inches all the way down. So I'm going to fold and burnish all of those crease lines, which just means give them a really nice fold and a really nice crease. And because this is double-sided pearl, you're getting a really lovely crease line on both sides. Now, this is the corner that we don't need, so I'm going to cut up that crease line and trim that excess away. Then for the rest of these, I'm going to cut slightly to the right of the crease line and then slightly to the left of the crease line so that we get a little bit of a wedge coming out. So you'll see that again, I'm going slightly to the right of the crease line and slightly to the left of the crease line. And on my last one, I'm going to come slightly to the right, but I'm just going to come just cutting that crease line off so that we've got a nice straight one. So then what we're going to do is we're going to stick this down. Now, if you're ever doing it with tape, I want you to go tape to tape. So we're going to put tape down the edge here and down this side, all the way along, plenty of tape in. And also on this side here, so that when I fold this over, we're coming tape into tape and we've got a really, really strong bond, especially if it's going to have something like a wine bottle in it, okay? Then we're going to fold each side down one at a time and pop on some of that tacky glue, fold in the next part. Some of the tacky glue, fold down the next part. Some of the tacky glue, fold down the next part. And do you know what? Best thing I can do is pop that champagne in there to help that base stick while we go and make the lid. Now, remember I said we were going to use box base for the lid, and I know that's the opposite to what we would usually do, but the reason being is that your box base lines are slightly longer than your box lid. So what it is every measurement is that measurement plus a little bit. So if I put the same size piece of paper and I take it to box base and I score at 3½ inches, it's not actually 3½ inches, it's 3½ inches plus a little bit. And that plus a little bit will allow us to wrap over the lid of our box. Now, that only works with the first measurement. You've only got the plus a little bit and the 0 to the first measurement. So what we can't do is we can't go then from 3½ to 7, because that would be exactly 3½. We need to butt the crease line back up against the edge, come back along to 3½, score 3½ again. And that's 3½ plus a little bit. We're going to fold it over, give that a nice burnish, fold that back over, re-burnish it the other way and pop our buttered line up against the buttoning edge. So then 3½ inches, right up there. Take that in and fold, give it a nice burnish. And then the last one, butting up again, 3.5 inches. And we're going to fold that and give that a burnish. And then we need to do the same with our lid. So we're going to butt that up against box base, and we're going to score at 3.5 inches. And that should give us a box lid that is 3.5 inches. Now remember what we did for the base. We cut this area out of the corner. So we cut to the right of the crease line, and we cut a little notch off there. And then with each of these, we cut slightly to the right of the crease line and slightly to the left of the crease line like this. And then in the last one, slightly to the right of the crease line, and then we cut that crease line up. So we don't need that to be as long as it is, so we can cut our lid down to wherever we think. So I'm going to pop this in here and cut this to around, say, I don't know, let's go 6 inches. Yeah. And then we're going to construct it just exactly as we did. And then we're going to construct it just exactly as we did the base. Going tape to tape. And then folding down each little piece one at a time. And adding a little bit of that tacky glue. And then you're just going to give that a little second to dry, and then that will go over the wine bottle and fit perfectly.